Hello and welcome. This is the Market Wrap. I'm Agam Akil. Well, as expected, largely on the basis of what our experts have been telling us, the cracks on the benchmark indices along with the broader markets are now visible. We've seen the Nifty decline by around 151 points and now well below the mark of 11,500. In terms of the few gainers that we had, we only saw marginal gains in Axis Bank and HCL Technologies, and not too much to speak for otherwise, with gains of less than 0.5%. But when it comes to cuts, well, deep cashes for the likes of Bajaj Finance on the index down 4.7%. Indiabulls Housing Finance, Sun Pharma, Bajaj Finserv, M&M all reducing and declining by as much as well over 3% in today's day of trade. When it comes to the broader markets too, on the NSE 500 there was just one gainer for 4 losers. We did have a lot of weakness in ILFS transportation and a lot of other ILFS stocks as well, and we will be talking about that in a little more detail in just a bit. Torrent Power and IIFL Holdings also looking at a decline. Correction of well over 5 to 5.5% in Century Plyboards, Equitas Holding and Manappuram Finance. On the gaining end, we did have Hathway Cables build on the gains that we saw in the previous session. Jindal Stainless, Max Financial Services, Coffee Day Enterprises and Bombay Rayon among some stocks which were advancing in trade. But to make sense of this, let's get in our markets editor Neeraj Shah to get in a perspective. Neeraj, well, this was largely on expected lines, as we have been talking about over the previous couple of weeks, that at some point in time a deep gash has to come. It's here. How much, to what extent would you attribute this to global cues?
Actually, so the DMs haven't corrected too much. Europe was a tick of green across when we shut shop, right, and we actually had some pressure points building in the last 45 minutes of trade. Asia, selectively, the countries which could be weak were weak today. Sort of it's got to do with this whole emerging market stroke countries or economies with higher current account deficit starting to correct, because those currencies fall and therefore those markets fall, but the rest of the markets don't fall as much because it's not as if the world is crumbling. Right. And we haven't had any news right now between the US and the China either as to whether the trade spat escalates or no. So maybe it's got to do with limitations to economies which have got a higher current account deficit and slightly weaker macros which are correcting. But, well, correct we did. We strongly corrected. Now, the question mark that comes to mind, and I think most people that we spoke today and tried to ask them as to what happens if crude were to strengthen further from these levels, and we have the twin salvo of both the global central banks, which is the Fed, as well as the Indian Central Bank raising the rates, right, in come the next 1.5 odd months, and right, what does that do to the overall sentiment? Clearly weakens. Now let's wait and watch. I think it's a tussle between what is looking like an improving micro, because corporate managements are very strong, versus what is arguably a very weak macro picture. Right. Difficult to see the micro really winning hands down versus the worsening macro. So time will tell. But today's trade would be interesting. Advanced decline 2:1 in favor of the declines. The FNO turnover really picked up in the last 45 minutes of trade. Let's wait and watch what happens. Well, Neeraj, thank you for that perspective. Thanks, Agam. But what can we watch out for when it comes to levels on the Nifty? This is what our technical analysts are telling us. Listen in.
The bank Nifty might give an unlikely recovery. But whether it gives or doesn't give, I think we are heading towards 26.8 as far as the bank Nifty is concerned. I still feel there could be one more to 27.5. And as far as the Nifty is concerned, once again, we might see a small recovery. And once again, we are seeing around 46 lakh 38,000 as far as the 11.5 put is concerned, and 45 lakh 90,000 as far as the 11.4 put is concerned. That's the only, this has to give way. I think we are heading towards 11.3. But I don't think it's going to happen at the first attempt, and it's not going to be easy because these guys are stubborn, and 11.4 is holding rock solid.
Markets are showing weakness. Nifty, Bank Nifty, both are down. Nifty, it's below 11,450 levels, which is again a negative sign for the index. There is a possibility that some more downside can be seen, and in next couple of days there is a possibility that we might see fall till 11,350 levels. I think for a trading perspective, it's better to be on sell side till the time upside levels are not taken away. 11,540 is a resistance on high side, so that should be the stop loss for selling positions. Till the time 11,540 is not taken away, one can initiate sell positions. Downside 11,400, 11,350 can be the targets for next couple of days.
Let's shift focus to a few stocks then. First one is Axis Bank, and well, we have seen that movement in Axis Bank based on the change in leadership, and we have Shraddha Babla joining us to give us an update on the same. Shraddha, tell us a little more about the story that you're covering there.
So finally, Axis Bank has a new head after all the speculation, and with the current CEO and MD Shikhar Sharma's term being cut short to about 3 months. So Amitabh Chaudhary of HDFC Standard Life has been appointed as a new head. He will take office from 1st of January 2019, and he's been appointed for a period of 3 years. Overall, brokerages have seen him as a very strong candidate for Axis Bank, and they believe that this will remove overhang from the stock with respect to more visibility on the management coming in. So overall, either brokerages have maintained their rating and target price on the stock, or some of them have even hiked it marginally. So we have Nomura, which has said that while a new CEO coming in is a positive, the operational performance improvement will be the key to further re-rating. They have maintained the buy rating and the target price of 630. Deutsche Bank has said that the strong candidature of Amitabh Chaudhary should reflect in better valuations now for Axis Bank. They've raised the target price by about 10% to 725 rupees. Edelweiss has said that despite the strong management move, any sort of further re-rating will be driven by asset quality performance and some sort of visibility with respect to the execution and strategic changes. They have also raised their target multiple to 2.4 times on a forward price to book basis, and they have hiked their target price to 647 from 543. And finally, Macquarie has said that they expect RBI's mandated top priority for the new MD to be to clean up the books and focus on resolving the residual stress, and that along with some potential changes in the top management which they believe are likely, they see that could create a decision vacuum and hence would take the focus off growth for the bank, at least for the first few quarters. So they have retained their outperformance target price on Axis Bank. So Agam, to remember that over the last 5 odd weeks or so, the stock had already run up about 18 to 20%. So clearly this is a sentiment positive, fundamental positive as well for the bank, but a lot seems to be priced in, and hence we did see a big move on the stock, but it has sort of come off to some extent, probably have to also do with the weak markets.
That's right, Shraddha. Thank you for joining us and giving us those updates on Axis Bank. And the other story that we are covering is ILNFS. We understand that the RBI has initiated a special audit of ILFS, and because of that, some of those stocks in today's day of trade were under pressure. We have Vishwanath Nair joining us to give us more updates on the same. So Vishwanath, what more can you tell us here?
Well, at this point in time, the special audit is continuing. So the reason for the special audit was because the Small Industries and Development Bank of India, which is SIDBI, they went to the RBI with a complaint because ILFS was not able to repay intercorporate deposits worth 100 crore as of August 27th, and then subsequently they also defaulted another additional 150 crore worth of repayment. Another 100 crore is due today. But of course, we don't know as of now whether ILFS was able to pay that money to SIDBI or not. If they were not able to repay that amount, then that gets added. When a company defaults on a loan, that's understood because it's a stressed account and therefore it's not able to honor its debt obligations. But when it defaults on a deposit, that becomes a big problem for the RBI because it creates a sort of an unnecessary market nuisance. So people especially the RBI is very focused on deposit defaults. So to that effect, this audit is currently going on, initiated by the Reserve Bank of India. ILFS Financial Services, which is a subsidiary of ILFS, they also have about 500 crore worth of deposits that have been placed with them by SIDBI. Those deposits will come due in November. Currently, the company is waiting, the parent company ILFS is waiting for some kind of fund infusion from LIC as well as SBI, nearly 3,000 crore worth of loans. LIC is one of the largest shareholders in ILFS. So if that money comes in, then they will be able to meet some of these obligations. But we're not sure again if those approvals are in yet. Friday there was a board meeting. What came of that is still something that needs to be discovered.
Right, Vishwanath, thank you for joining us and getting us those details. Don't forget, Vishwanath has written on this story, and as you can see, you can read that about that on Bloomberg Quint out here, and this is the page that you can keep an eye on when it comes to updates with respect to RBI's initiation of the special audit of IL&FS. Don't forget to go through the other updates as well when it comes to some of these stocks. But with that, it's a wrap on the markets, but lots more lineup, so stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint.